grade will be starting their clay project this semester, our whole unit of clay, with a little mini air dry clay project here. We're going to be using some Crayola Model Magic clay, and you're going to get a selection of some eyeball details here. These were just some dragon eyes that I purchased off Amazon, and I have a pack that is enough for everybody in our grade level, so we're going to each get our own choice of eyeball detail. I'm going to be using this blue eyeball, and I'm going to start with my Model Magic. You will actually not need the full pack. You are only going to receive 1/3 of the pack there, because that's all you need to make your mini air dry clay eye. You're going to first start by dividing it into 3 sections. And these 3 sections, I just kind of made them into some quick spheres so I can see that they're roughly the same size. It's okay if one's just a little bit bigger. And these are going to be divided into our base, our details, and our eyelids. So just kind of showing you what those 3 parts would look like. But before we can start making those, we have to worry about color. So going back to my base eyelids details, I'm going to start with that first base piece of clay. I'm going to make sure it's divided into 3 pieces that are roughly the same. And since I know my base and my eyeballs are going to be the same color, I'm going to put those 2 together and set my detail piece aside. And all I'm doing is just smushing it together till it's back to one piece. And we're going to add color using Crayola markers. So you can choose to do some color blends here if you want. I chose to just stick to using one color. So I started with some blue. I colored it onto my Model Magic clay. And then you're kind of doing this folding, massaging method to start blending the clay together. It will make like a marbled effect. If you like it like that, you can keep it like that. Or if you keep blending, it'll start mixing the colors more. If you want your colors darker, you just need to keep adding in more Crayola markers. So I just added in another layer of blue. I'm massaging and mixing it together. And the secret is kind of like you're kneading dough, is you want to make sure that you're like folding the clay in on itself so it starts to really mix up that color. If you're just kind of squishing back and forth, it's not going to do a whole lot. So I'm going to put in another layer of blue. I want it to just be my richest blue here because I'm going to make a kind of ice dragon eyeball. So I'm going to mix it up, squishing really well. And once I feel like I have mixed completely, I'm going to divide it back into those 2 sections. For the base, you are going to make an oval shape. You want it to kind of make sure it's rounded on the edges. It's just going to be our background. We're going to do the same thing for the eyelid. You want to make it roughly about the same size, so just kind of checking it there, making sure they're roughly the same. And then we're going to cut our eyelid piece in half. So I just cut with some scissors, boop, right there in half. And we're going to use our eyeball in the center of our base. And our eyelids are going to go on top of that base to kind of cover over a little bit at the top and a little bit of the bottom of the eye. When we start to do details, we are going to be using mostly that toothpick that you see over there is going to be used to kind of do a lot of the carving, as well as just your hands. You can use your fingernail details. If you want to get creative and use like a pencil or another item that you find in the classroom, that is totally up to you. I'm just starting with this toothpick to kind of make sure that I have I like to do wrinkles around the eyes, make it look a little more realistic. And I'm just working the shape to make sure I'm happy with how those 2 eyelids met together. And I did a little bit of some of those details on the top and the bottom, and I'm just going to go back and kind of thicken those up a little bit, make them extra wrinkly, so it kind of looks like my eye is more realistic here. And then the rest of this for the details is for you to have fun with. Think about adding scales, swirls, horns, spikes. You can add extensions that come off the top of your eye. You can do extensions that come off the bottom. So like here I just started with some swirls, and I'm using my toothpick to kind of make some little details and spikes, and I just have fun with it. You can choose to make your details a different color. Since I was going with an ice kind of theme, I chose to keep mine just blue and white. If you wanted to add in another color, you would simply do the same step. You would just use those Crayola markers to start blending those colors together. So for the rest of this video, I'm just going to use my creative freedoms here to add on any details that I think would make my dragon eye look more like a dragon eye, including scales, those horns, those spikes, and I'm just going to let my creative freedom kind of do its thing. here you can see 2 of the dragon eyes that I have made. They all will turn out different depending on what you add on to them and what colors you use. So I hope that you choose to make your dragon eye as creative and as fun as you would like.